All good? Alright, it's currently April 2nd, so it's certainly been a while since I cut these off of the other plants and then stuck them in the ground. And we just went through a Florida winter, and that might be a little bit of an oxymoron here. And it's now April 2nd, and it's about 90 degrees today. These guys do get some diffused light and partial shade under the oak tree. Otherwise, I don't think they'd fare too well if they were in direct sunlight. But you can see they've taken very well, and they're just going to grow up, and then they'll supplement the other plants behind them, the podocarpus, in providing a little bit of a natural screen between ours and the neighbor's yard. So they seem to be doing very well, and just wanted to go ahead and get an update here. Thanks for watching. All right, here we are back at the planter project. It's been many weeks since the bags were installed and filled with soil and some manure, and now I want to go ahead and get some plants in here. And I filled them up with dirt with the plan of cutting some of the other plants and just using some natural propagation here in the yard. So what I'm going to do here is, since the soil has been sitting, it's very dry, I'm going to go ahead and moisten it up, clear out some of the leaves that have just accumulated. So go ahead and water this down a little bit here, moisten it. I want to make sure that, since I'm going to be putting cuttings, that there's adequate moisture in here to support and hopefully trigger or stimulate rooting. And as the soil settles, you can certainly add some more. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take the cuttings from this particular section here of plants. They seem to be doing very well. They're growing a little bit tall. I'm going to go ahead and top them off, and then I'm going to use the cuttings to fill the planter. So it sounds like we've got a nice cardinal chirping overhead. I'm going to go ahead and start to prune or cut some of these stalks here. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and clear off the lower section of leaves, and then we're going to stick it right in. You want to keep it in shape, understanding that it'll always grow back fuller, but keep it in a certain shape that you like. Alright, so here we have the spoils of the pruning session here. Everything will grow back. Figure I'd go ahead and put about maybe 3 or 4 of these in each of the sections or the bags in the planter. So it's just a matter now of going ahead and stripping off the lower leaves of each of these stalks. I'm going to clear out about, say, 6 to 8 inches off the base of each of these stalks here, because this is all going to be buried in the soil. And the idea is for it to start to root into the soil and then continue to grow the plant. This has worked for me many times over here. This is the first time using a planter as the planted destination. I normally will plant these simply in the yard. Alright, the lower leaves will likely die anyway, but those can be pulled off later on. Not sure how many I clipped. I think I got enough here to plant them densely enough so they'll be full once they start to grow and take. This also encourages new growth in the existing plants that these were removed or pruned from. And it's certainly a great way to avoid having to spend money on new potted plants at the nursery when they're simply not needed. Not an electric car. And it is springtime, so we'll start to see some rains here, and you know, it should encourage growth for the existing plants in the yard. Okay, it looks like we got it. Alright, I actually went back out to the yard and snipped off a few sections here. Since the planters actually have 3 planting bags each, wanted to kind of even it out, so I grabbed a total of 24 cuttings, right? So that's 4 per bag. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and create the holes, or bore the holes with a simple hammer and a piece of dowel or a stick or a broomstick, and I'm going to go ahead and drive those holes into these planters here, within which I'm going to insert the cuttings. Simple as that. There we go. We're going to go ahead and give it enough room from the edges here. Go ahead and drive the stick or the dowel, this one's been used many times, deep enough in. Since it was pre-watered, it hopefully will hold its hole shape somewhat. And what we can do is, we're not going to do them all perfectly symmetrical. We might do some in a square kind of arrangement, and the next one in a diamond, and kind of turn it a little bit, if you know what I mean. Let's go down far enough here. I want to make sure that we don't have any resistance when we force the cutting into the holes here. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate here on this this first section here how that's going to look. All right, we've got 4 of our cuttings here. Go ahead and take any of them here. We've stripped the base of leaves. We're going to go ahead and put it in that hole there and give it down pretty far here, 6-8 inches here. And the idea is the more surface area you have in contact with the dirt and the soil, which we're going to keep moist, the more area there is to conceivably root and send out roots from this base here. So go ahead and put in the second of the 4. All right. And of course you can plant as thinly or as fully as you'd like, depending upon how full you'd like it to ultimately go, or how crowded, if you will, you'd like your planter to appear. And here's number 4. And then what we're going to do here, step back a little bit, can't see the forest through the trees, so we're going to just go ahead and push the soil in around each of these cuttings to make sure that it's, you know, kind of firm around, and that particular cutting is not too loose within the hole that we just stuck it down into. And then we're going to go ahead and come back and we're going to water it. And we're going to water it quite a bit over the next few days. I feel that we'll get the best results if we keep the soil moist. All right, so we're going to come over to the next one here, and we're going to do the same thing here. Try to avoid hurting any leaves. So now, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, you can instead go 1, 2, 3, 4 in a diamond pattern, or a square in the other way. So give it a little bit of variety so it doesn't look too symmetrical in the end of the day. Okay, work it back out. Next one. Okay, go down 6-8 inches. Next one. Okay, and then the final here. And you might want to go ahead and do all the holes first. You might find it easier to work that way instead of putting the plants as you go. I'll just put the plants in as I go so we can see how it looks. Okay, here's the next batch. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start to pop them in. Okay, they should not really face any resistance when you push them in the holes. If they do, you might want to back out and then just drive that stake back in the hole again to make sure that nothing fell back into it, the soil didn't back in, because you don't want to cause any harm to the plants or the cuttings. Okay. All right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and tamp or press or compress the soil around where the cuttings are entering the planter. Okay, so now for reference, let's step back here and see what it looks. All right, of course it looks very full and bushy initially. Certainly you can expect some leaf die-off over the next few weeks. And as they grow up, you know, you'll have the stalks at the bottom, the new leaves at the top, so it might thin out a little bit. So I want to start out a little bit bushy and full. Okay, 2 down, 6 to go, or 4 to go. All right, now I'm going to go back to the regular square configuration here. So here we go. You might, instead of a hammer, want to use a little sledge or a 3-pound maul for a better striking surface area. And of course this little broomstick, this dowel, has really seen better days. And I've missed and struck my hand often enough to know to try to be careful. Don't hit the hole right upon the edge for obvious reasons. You want to make sure you have a few inches all around. Alright, and 4th out of 4. Okay, great. Alright, let me go ahead and grab the next 4. Nope, 5, okay. I'll pick out of this group. Okay. Okay. And number 4 here. Okay. Okay, again, gonna tamp and compress the soil around the cutting so it's nice and tight. You want to make sure the soil and the cutting have exposure to each other, because what we'll want to do is make sure that these will send out roots and develop a healthy root system. So here you go. There's the first planter, and here's the next one we're going to work on now. Okay? All right, I'll go back to the diamond shape. Okay. Okay, there we go. Oops. And the last one here. There we go. Let's back it out. Let's go ahead and grab the next group. Cuttings. Send them home into their holes. Okay. There we go. Shouldn't have to force anything. Now the goal is, of course, to not kill them, make sure they live. Tamp the soil around the cutting. All 4 of them. Okay, great. Okay, let's move along here. Same thing, I'll go back to the square configuration. One and 2 and 3, and here's number 4. Okay. Grab another 4 out of my remaining batch here. I should have about 8 left. Do the math right. And I've got 1 extra. Okay, good. Feeling good about this here, but we'll see. The proof is in the pudding, and we'll see how it looks here over the course of the next few days and weeks. Then we'll know how well this project really did work out. All right, now I've got the last little bucket bag here, just to kind of have a look. Well, it looks good here, right? All right, I'll go back to the diamond configuration here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I've got 5 left. I'll stick that last one somewhere. Okay. Okay, and last but not least. Great. All right, now again, final step. I'm going to go ahead and push the soil around the base of these cuttings. Okay, there we go. Take you for a little walk through here, back it up. All right, so say it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this here. I'm going to go ahead and water these in. Again, make sure that soil is nice and moist here. The whole objective is to get these to survive, to root, and to hopefully thrive in their new planter home. All right, look out for an update video here. I'm going to give it a few weeks and hope to get an update out. Thanks very much for watching. Hope this was enjoyable for you. Thank you.